Hello everyone, welcome to Decode ITES. This is a single learning platform for multiple IT infrastructure technologies. Do like, share and subscribe our channel to never miss out our videos. Let's continue with the learning. Let's have a small introduction of myself. My name is Prince Garg. I'm having 3+ years of work experience and worked on Red Hat, VMware, Windows, Google Cloud, PowerShell, Python and Bash scripting. Kindly follow us on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, and reach out to us on itesfund.com. Welcome back everyone to Decode ITES in the Red Hat 8 learning series. In this lesson, we will going to teach you about the basic understanding of users and also how to create and manage users in Linux. So user is used as a security principle, and user accounts are used to provide people or processes access to system resources. So what is it all about? Is security principle. It's an entity that you are going to grant permissions to do specific stuff for the processes on your system. There are user accounts that are created as system accounts. They are easily recognizable, as you will see when we get to the configuration files. System accounts typically have a low user ID. People are using regular user accounts, and people are recognized on a Linux system because they have a higher user ID. You should notice that on many systems there are not so many users that directly exist at Linux kernel, because very often Linux is an operating system and that is hosting applications, and the applications have their users inside of applications. So from a Linux perspective, the only user that is irrelevant in that scenario is the user account that is created for the application, and the user itself connect to the application and not to Linux. So if you become an administrator of Linux system, you might notice that there are not so very many users around, and that's just perfectly normal. In this lesson, however, I will use people user as examples because they are just easier to understand. Before I teach you how to create users, I would like to talk about user properties. Let's explore the different properties. What you see here is a part of the configuration file etc parsewd. If you write parsewd, but it's allowed to say etc parsewd. That is where users and their main properties are defined. Let's have a look at these different properties. So to start with, in the first field there is the name of the account. So student, users and all the users you have created, these are account names. Next, there is a password. The password is the secret that is used for authentication, and it might be disabled as well. In the password file you can see the password in the second field, but there is an X, and that is because it's a placeholder. On modern Linux distributions, including RHEL8, passwords are stored somewhere else, in the etc shadow file. Now, next is the UID. The UID is the unique identifier for users, and every user needs a unique ID. After that, in the fourth field, you can see GID. The GID is the ID of primary group. And the thing is that Linux, every user needs to be a member of one group at least. On RHEL8, the default setting is that when you create a user, you also create a group with the name of the user, and the user will be the only member of that group. This primary group membership is very important for permissions. We will talk about it later in this lesson. Then there is what we call GECOS, which is additional non-mandatory information about the user. In the sample code on the lower part of the slide, you can see that there is something in the GECOS field for user accounts, which is just text username. The other users don't have the environment where users create personal files. This is also one of the two locations where users on Linux do have permissions to create files. Users can create files in their home directory and in the temp directory. And that's all. Finally, there is the shell. The shell is the program that will be started after successful authentication of user login. And the default shell on the Red Hat system is bin bash. You will find that bin bash on most Linux distributions is the default shell. But it's only shell, and it's not the only shell that exists over there. There are others as well. Let's talk about some syntax and variables. To create a new standard user, we will gonna use the Useradd command. The syntax is as follows: Useradd and then the name of the user which you want to create. The Useradd command utilizes a variety of variables, some of which are shown in the table below. There are few options which we will gonna take a look: -d, -e, -f, and -s. The first one, -d, is for the home directory. Home underscore directory will be used as a value for the user's login directory. Example: Useradd, username -d, and then the home directory, which we will want to provide to the user. -e is the date when the user account will expire, like Useradd, the username, and then -e and then the date. -f is the number of days before the account expires. -s sets the default shell type, like Useradd, username, -s, and then the shell name, along with the path. Now, let's come to the creating and managing users. We are going to discuss this in the four parts. First one is Useradd, which is to create user account; Usermod to modify the user accounts; Userdel is for deleting the user accounts; passwd is for setting up the passwords. Once we create any user in Red Hat or CentOS or in any Linux distributions, the user is not able to log in until we set up a password. So we will gonna use passwd command as well. Let's continue with the practical overview session of it to take a look on it more perfectly and in a proper way. So let's continue with the practical overview session. And in this lesson, I will show you how to create and manage users. So creating and managing users, you need four commands basically. To start with, there is Useradd. Useradd allows you to create user accounts. Let me show you Useradd --help. So here's the Useradd commands. We have seen this output before. If you pipe through the output Useradd --help pipe less, you can see all the different options that can be used. Some options that are interesting. Let's see, use -c for comment so that we can fill the GECOS field. Is there anything else that's interesting? I don't think so. The -c for comment is good enough for now. Notice, by the way, the -p option. This is not the option that you need to set a password for the user, because a -p option expects you to pass an encrypted string that you need to encrypt using some other utility beforehand. If ever you want a user with a shell that has not been bashed, you can use -s to set the shell. You can set it to willfuls. For example, if you want to create a user that is never supposed to log in, which is not common for people user, but which is quite common for system users. Now, let me create a user. Useradd minus C test1 and again test1. So that would be user minus C test1, but this will not gonna work. Obviously, if you are going to create a user with some comments, then at least you need to specify something. The option minus C requires an argument, and I wasn't specifying this argument yet. So the user minus C test1 will not gonna create. Now as we are running user add minus C test1, it was successful. That's how you create a user. The next command which we need to explore is usermod. Usermod is a command that you are going to use to modify user accounts. And this command can be quite useful. So usermod is a command that you can use to modify properties of user. Let's use usermod minus minus help. As well, because I want to show you how we can use the usermod to add user to another supplemental group. So when is this useful? Well, that is useful if user already member of multiple groups and you want to add the user to some more groups. To the group wheel, for example. Wheel group is a default group, and if some user is a part of that wheel group, it will have the root rights. For example, if you want your user to be a system administrator, then you can add the user to the wheel group. So I'm going to use that, and in order to do, we need to use the option minus G in the uppercase and minus A. Minus uppercase G can be used all by itself, but if you use it all by itself, you use it to create a new list of supplementary groups, which will throw away all currently assigned supplementary groups. And for that reason, it's often a wise idea to use minus A option as well. And that is exactly what I want to do so. So the command is usermod minus A and uppercase G, then the group name wheel and the user. And the result is that my test1 user at this point is a member of wheel group. If you want to verify, you can use ID. As you can see, it's showing the UID 1003 and the group ID also the same. And under the group, you can see wheel group is mentioned over there. Now next on the list of command is Userdel. It is the command you are going to use to delete your user account. So first take the help Userdel minus minus help. It also has a couple of options. There are not very many options, but some of them are very useful. Minus F is for instance, and it will force the deletion of the user. Minus R is useful as well because it will remove the user home directory and main spool. The main spool is the file in which user email is stored. So if you want to delete a user, use userdel minus rf and test1. For example, that will delete the home directory as well. It will delete the user account and the home directory as well. Notice, by the way, that it might not be the best idea in the world to start automatically by deleting the user's home directory, because the user may have done things that you want to keep around. So instead of using RF, you might just want to use userdel minus F. And then the user is gone. There is one more command that is relevant for managing users, that is passwd. That command is used to set user password. So let's again run this command with the option passwd minus minus help. You can see that multiple options exist over here. These options allow administrators to do different things that are required for password management. For example, you can lock user account or you can unlock the user account. You can expire the user account, which means it cannot be used anymore, or you can set the maximum password lifetime and much more. And if you want to know what's going on currently, there is the option minus uppercase S as well, which will report password status. So how do we use this? Well, you can use, let's create another user add test2, and the user is created, pass wd minus l test2, which means that the user test2 at this moment is locked. If you regret it, then you just type pass wd minus u test2, and it's showing that unlocked password would be empty. Unsafe option, we need to use minus F to force it. And it's showing that the password is unlocked for the user test2. After we're doing that, we need to type the password, and you need to type the password twice, like passwd test2. Notice that it is complaining about the passwords. Check the fields and the dictionary check. As you are the root user, you don't care. You are not root, and root can do whatever user root wants to. This is all about the commands and that you need for the initial creation and management of user accounts. I hope you have studied a lot over here and you have taken a basic understanding of user and its management. If you're having any queries, you can drop the comment on the comment section or reach out to us on itesfund.com. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Do like, share and comment our videos. Also subscribe to our channel.